I was curious about the hospital, since you guys touch in healthcare, because the hospitals, in one way, they have an obvious need with COVID, and so there's a lot of activity there. But at the same time, they're having reduced demand on the more standard healthcare stuff. So, what are you seeing your healthcare clients doing in terms of responding to that, and how are your projects affected by that?
Depending on the market, you hit the nail on the head, Finn. The hospitals, most of the hospitals around here are private ventures. They're owned privately held companies, right? And like a hotel, I mean, I hate to say this, but those hospitals, because they're private, there's no state money on these things. It's different in Canada. That's a different, we don't deal with a lot of state hospitals or around here, or any federally managed VA hospitals or anything like that. We don't tend to deal with them. But the
Yeah,
private institutions that we deal with make their money on elective surgeries, and they make their money off of insurance billings. And they are not making money right now. They are, any of the big expansion projects, unless they absolutely have to, they've stopped them. They're laying people off.
jeez.
It's brutal. That's now that, granted, that's a broad sweeping statement. Not all hospitals are like that, but definitely a lot of them are feeling this pinch because they're not able to get the elective surgeries. When they relaxed down a little bit after the first bump, and this is not in all markets, obviously not in all markets getting hit by COVID as much as we are here in Florida and New York and say Chicago, some of the denser populations, even LA to some degree.
Yeah,
But they stopped their elective surgeries entirely so that they could deal with the influx of folks that were coming in who were sick on COVID. And then they did no idea, they were still really learning about how to treat the pandemic and how to treat it was there was a lot of fear. There was a lot of, I think, panic with the staff and fatigue as well. So I'm seeing some of that returning to normal, or at least I saw last month. Now this month, who the hell knows? I don't know.
yeah.
We've got big jobs hanging out there, big healthcare jobs hanging out there. Um, they're they're all on the books. They all got free money right now. As I say, it's one thing. It's the weirdest thing, man. Right now, it's like the banks are giving away money. Mortgage rates are down to below 3%, and the mortgage market around here. I happen to be in the market to buy a house, and it is a seller's market through and through. The house will stay on the market for less than a day. A good house that's ready to go,
Wow.
it's gone. It is gone, and people show up, and then there's counter offers, and you just can't. With the 3.0 mortgage, I don't know what your mortgages are, but the last one I had was 6.8. I was like, this is nuts. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping to, capitalize on that, obviously, but I'm not exactly looking forward to jumping into the fight.
Yeah. Right.
So building is still going. Home building is still going for sure. I say all that to say, like, the demand is so high that a developer knows that they're going to be able to build a building and sell condos because there is a massive demand right now for houses. Um,
Wow. That's
what I
interesting.
hit in our market here,
Yeah,
what
we're
I
up
am,
here in New
yeah,
York. We're seeing it too because nobody wants to be in Manhattan anymore. So I live in Long Island. Everyone is moving out of the city, and the city is getting hit apparently harder. Their real estate market's getting beat up because nobody wants to first see a place, walk into a building where there's, potentially 1,000 people that live or 800 people that live in a building. Everyone's touching the elevator and all that stuff. So
yeah.
everyone wants to move out into the suburbs now. So same thing. I'm seeing it here 100%.
Yeah.
Well, I think that that's going to be one of the bigger, the fallouts. What we're not seeing yet is the fallout, and what happened in 2008 more so with the mortgage crisis is I don't think we're seeing the fallout from foreclosures. And so I have a feeling that that's probably going to start to creep in as the effect of the stimulus package wears off and the moratorium on foreclosures wears off. Then we're
Yeah.
going to see a bunch of homes show up in the market because people aren't able to pay for them,
Well,
unfortunately.
yeah. Speaking of the stimulus, I know we talked to a number of people who've sort of depended on on their friends in the industry to learn about how to get the stimulus and for support through all of this.
Yeah.
That was after the first wave. Now you're starting to see a second wave. You're not necessarily seeing the same access to money. How are you guys? What are you guys talking about? How are you feeling this is going to handle it?
All of our friends in the Illuminati all got their stimulus. We don't qualify, so we don't get it. The way we handle it is we have to lay people off. The nice thing about lighting is that we basically cross all the markets, right?
Right.
So South might only work on South jobs, and the engineers here only work on South jobs. They don't necessarily cross like we do. There's no other lighting designers in the firm. I run it for the entire company. So we hit them all. If there's a transportation project out of our federal group, they come to us. It helps leverage lighting, but we still probably get 60 to 70% of our work from South, from what is our local MEP group. So it hurts. We definitely feel it. And that's to say we're totally susceptible or totally insulated from the layoffs. So far, we've been spared, but it's we got 2 or 3 more months of summer. We'll see. Depends on how fast these jobs come back. Jobs that initially went on hold said they were going to go on hold for a couple months, and then they would come back, say August. I don't know. I used to try to say, be optimistic about it and say, it's going to come back as soon as this will be we'll get over the hump. I don't know, guys. I'm generally a pretty optimistic person. I could tell you that in 2008, the money disappeared. The RFPs disappeared. The work evaporated. It evaporated. We had 3 theme parks that we're doing in the Middle East. They all evaporated in the course of 1 week. It was a massive, massive amount of work. That you can understand how much work that is for a small firm, for a small group like us, our smaller studio. I think we were like 9 people at that point, or 7 people. So it gutted us, and we had to go through some layoffs. This time, I'm still seeing a massive amount of RFPs. I'm writing 4 to 5 RFPs a week, proposals for jobs, and they're decent sized jobs. So that still gives me a lot of hope. And a couple of jobs that we have written post-COVID have actually started. So there's hotels that have started. Again, the conventional wisdom says these things stop and they don't go, but that's not the case. We're still seeing RFPs come in, and it's international jobs. It's not just American jobs or Florida jobs or Canadian jobs. It's all the markets. To compound this, we're in an election year, and if COVID wasn't bad enough, the social distancing and all that kind of stuff, just on the American psyche, dealing with 3 years, I don't know where your politics are, but dealing with the divisive politics that we've had for 3 years, just that constant churn and that constant abrasion, I think, on the ears and on the senses, and on the psyche of American politics, which has just gotten so ugly, and that wears you down. And then COVID shows up, and you're like, okay, well, who do you believe? And then on top of that, then George Floyd and the protests show up. And the thing that blows me away, guys, is that it's not just here. France took on our protests, and
right.
They're protesting our police brutality. I'm like, okay, well, that's an interesting thing that the rest of the world is taking notice and watching and saying, yeah, you guys are, fucking up.
Well,
it's so all of those things combined, it's kind of like, I'm done.
Well, the first thing that came to mind when you're talking about France, when I saw the protests in France and all around the world, what came to mind is that there are all these people where what was happening resonated with them because there was empathy. And I think that's what we've been missing for quite a while now, is this sense of empathy, the fact that we're in this together. And I've found a certain solace in the fact that as a community, the lighting community has a lot of that empathy. We're looking out for each other. We know we're concerned about each other. We're trying to figure out how to move forward and take care of each other.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and that's exactly how Illuminati started. Was that first week of that, and Jill wanting to still see us and talk to us, and so we've been going pretty faithfully every Friday since I think the first week of the shutdown.
Oh.
But that was it, in our community. I mean, most of us, Finn, we are a pretty tight knit group.
Yeah.
Even some of the Europeans get in on it. So
Cool.
it's I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the awards, the ILD awards.
I just watched some bits of it. Yeah.
It's an interesting community for sure.
It is.
I'm seeing it now from a different perspective as the chair of the membership group for ILD. So it's interesting to see how it's affecting business all over the place. I think ILD's revenues are down for sure. I suspect that more and more lighting designers, now that the stimulus monies have come through, unless those that's holding them again for a couple of months, Finn. But some of those folks were heavily leveraged in only one area of work. I mean,
oh boy,
as we talked about it, we are really well diversified. Some of those people aren't. Some of those people are smaller firms that have only, say a handful of people. Well, one of their major jobs goes away and suddenly they're scrambling.
A lot of weight here, obviously.
Yeah. But if anything through this, if hopefully I've told you guys, is it's not all one story. It's for everyone that I know that's being closed or being laid off. Another one is just booming right now. So it's just there's tons of RFPs coming in. Okay, is it all doom and gloom? No. I mean, yeah, there's a hell of a lot of doom and gloom, but there's also a lot of new stuff, and there's some positive things in there.
Yeah.
It gets back to my optimism, right? So I'm holding on to that thread, just barely trying to hold on to it.
I know
I have to, man.
Exhausting. It's getting exhausting, but I know what you mean.
All this craziness and the having to work a different way, everything considered, is there one thing that we can look at? Is there something we can take away from this? Is there something we can do as a lighting industry to set that path in the right direction towards the light and away from the doom and gloom?
I think, as you probably mentioned it before, be leaders, be thought leaders. The lighting industry is a fairly integrated, fairly open-minded industry. We generally need to continue to show what it means to be inclusive and to have empathy as a group. We're all fairly like-minded people, and I think as a whole, lighting designers are fairly optimistic as a whole. Just in the nature of what we do, we are bringing light to people's lives. Not to put too fine a point on it, but we are trying to, just about all of us, in the physical nature of our work, are trying to make someone else's life better.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Wow.
Well, I think if you boil it down, whether we use 2x2s or something else, we're generally trying to make someone else's life a little bit better, and keep them from the dark, so to speak, or benefit their environment in some way. Hopefully that means we're doing good. Yeah. Hopefully that means we're doing good, and I think most of us know that. Using our voices for good rather than bad. I have not heard any negative comments out of the lighting design world, as it were. I don't know if you saw the news that hit yesterday. PLDC shut.
No.
Did you see that? Yeah. So that hit social media yesterday. PLDC is no more. They've shut their doors and terminated all their social media accounts.
Jeez.
That means the convention's gone. They were hoping to come over to the United States with the PLDC in New York. That's gone. Obviously, the magazine's gone. So that's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Obviously, really big for Europe. but it's unfortunate.
What do you get to do aside from work here to get your head out of the game? What do you get to do? Do you get to go home? You get to go do something that at least offers some respite from all this?
Yeah, I live about 4 minutes from here, so I go home and because as I told you before, we have a swimming pool, so I spend a lot of time with the girls. My hobbies are luckily things I can do at home. At least most of my hobbies are things I can do at home. I am a fairly active outdoors type person, so I hunt and I fish and I do all that kind of stuff. I'm not hunting at the moment, but I'm waiting for season to start. I need that every once in a while just to get in the woods, and I'll walk out into the woods and come back, 10 hours later, 12 hours later, exhausted and filthy and totally refreshed. And, it is a wonder that, spending 8 hours up in a tree, sitting in a tree, nothing to clear your head more than just getting away and disconnecting, turning this thing off and just sitting there and just being present in the space that you're in. If there's one thing that I would think that would be a positive boon out of all of this is that more people get outside of buildings and go outside. So many people don't go outside. They don't go walk around the block. They don't recreate outside. They do things inside. I personally believe that more people need to be outside and go out and exercise and spend more time in the sunlight. Is my personal feeling, but I do that. Spend a lot of time with the family. I cook as well. So my wife, she drives her nuts because I'll, a weekend, if we just had cherries show up in season. So I got a bunch of cherries and made cherry pie last weekend. And she gets pissed because we'll make a cherry pie and I'll take one little slice of it and I'll leave the pie and I'll come to work. She's like, oh, no. She's like, you're taking that with you. I'm like, who's going to eat it? I'm home here with myself and Jason. I'm like, no. So take some time. I think the other thing is take some time for your mental clarity. And if you're men of faith, pray, and if you're not, you just keep your head clean, keep your mental, as I said before, being optimistic. 99% of you having a good day is how you choose to act or how you choose to think when you get out of bed in the morning. I think you could choose it to be a really shitty day when you wake up, or you can choose it to be, okay, well, what am I going to do today? And let's see if I can do at least, if I can make one person smile today. Well, I've already accomplished that, right? I got Finn smiling, so I can check that one off my to-do list.
Well done. Nice.
Right? So it's the little things, right? As I tell my staff, I'm like, set yourself goals every single day. One of the goals, make your bed. I love that guy's, Navy SEAL who said, every morning you make your bed. Then that way, if the rest of the day goes to shit, which it does, then at least you've done one thing. You've accomplished one thing that day, and you can be proud of yourself because I made my bed. I may not have brushed my teeth. I may have been sitting in a mud puddle the entire day and being eaten by mosquitoes, but at least I made my bed.
Yeah, that's you start your day with an accomplishment. I like it.
It's genius, right?
Yeah, that's funny because that's one of my favorite things, and I do the same thing. So
yeah, I tell my girls the same thing. So they're like, "We're not going anywhere." I'm like, "I don't care. Go make your bed." Like, we're just gonna get in 8 hours. I'm like, "Go make your bed."
Oh man.
Or you can stay in your room for the rest of the day and stay in your bed for the rest of the day. Yeah.
We see the dad coming out. All right.
Yeah, that's my wife's like, all right, time for you to go to work. Yeah.
Get out of here. I got this.
Yeah, right. Oh, it's all good. They're great. They're like, you want to eat? Go make your bed. It's that easy.
There you go.
I'm not above blackmail.
This has been fantastic, Aram. So first of all,
I'm happy to talk with you guys.
Aram, it was great chatting with you, and really, you gave us a lot of time. Thank you so much. And
no worries.
Hopefully we can all take a little bit of optimism, and we'll see things go up in the right direction in the near future.
Yeah, I think if we all put our collective minds to it, we could make it a little bit better.
Agreed.
It's all got to be paddling in the right direction.